On YouTube. So I'm gonna do this video on how you can figure out what your purpose is in life. And I got this advice from a combination of personal experience and how I was able to figure out my purpose, as well as Oprah Winfrey. I took some advice from her and what she had to say about the subject. So the first thing is to think back to when you were a child and what you used to always dream of doing. And if you're not able to do that, then just think about something that you're very good at, that you do with ease, that comes natural to you, that you enjoy doing. Now, for most people, it's hard to do those two things right there, because if you were able to do that, then you probably would already know what your purpose is. So that's still, start there though, and try to get that way you can get at least a sense of an idea that should at least kind of give you somewhat of an idea what you're working with. Now, if that doesn't take you directly to what your purpose is, then you want to move on and figure out what you don't want to do. Like, if you know exactly what you say, okay, I don't know what I do want to do, but I do know that X isn't a part of my goal. So for example, for me, I didn't know my purpose at first, so I said, well, I know one thing. Having a W-2 paying job definitely ain't part of it. I'm not trying to work for anybody. I don't want to get up and go to work. So that brings me to the next point. If you can figure out what you don't want to do, that'll put you on to what you do want to do, which is and so if you can figure out what you don't want to do, you can then do anything possible to stay away from that. So like I said, with me, I knew I didn't want to work a job. So the first thing I knew what I had to do was I had to figure out, how can I get away from this job? So I started to realize that I needed to buy some assets, some type of passive income, or some type of different type of hustles and businesses, or whatever the case may be, so that I won't have to rely on a job to get the income. So if you're in that situation where you know that a job isn't part of what your dream is, then what I recommend is that you read two books, Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Again, I've said this before, Think and Grow Rich is going to get you all the tools that you need to be successful, and so that you know what it takes to be ultra successful in life. It's called Think and Grow Rich, but it's really the formula on how to accomplish anything in life. Then the reason for getting Rich Dad Poor Dad is simply so you can understand how money works. So, because you're gonna need money to accomplish whatever your dream is 9 times out of 10. So that's why I recommend those two books. Alright, so now that you've thought about what you've always dreamed of as a kid or what you're naturally good at, now you figured out what you don't want to do, and now you realize that you're going to have to generate some type of income outside of a job, if that's not in your plan. Now you should know that, okay, once you start generating the income without the job, then you can be to the point where you have your freedom. And once you have that freedom, you'll probably be able to figure out what it is that you want to do. And also, as you were away from that job, you got your time back, and then you got that experience, you will probably be, in 9 times out of 10, the universe is drawing you closer to what your purpose was the whole time anyway. So as you figured out ways to generate income outside of a job, you're going to base those ideas off of things that you're interested in 9 times out of 10. It'll draw you closer to what you might be put here for on this earth. So, and also, I gave an example for if a job isn't in your purpose. But what if a job is in your purpose? Then you probably shouldn't watch my channel, because I'm anti-job and I just don't believe in them. I know that somebody got to do it, but that somebody just won't be us. Not us on this channel. We're not about that over here. So sorry for that. If you plan on, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being a teacher. I think there are people here that's put on earth to be a teacher, put on earth to be a lawyer, put on earth to be, those specialized things. But if you just getting a job just because it pays well, then no, that can't be a purpose. Like that, I don't see how that's a purpose. Things is bigger than money. So that's how you figure out what your purpose is. You got to know, get an idea of a good sense of what you've always dreamed of. Figure out what you're very good at, and then figure out what you don't want to do. Then once you figure out what you don't want to do everything necessary to stay away from doing what you don't want to do. Then figure out a way to generate income while staying away from that thing that you don't want to do. And then finally, once you get the freedom, it'll draw you closer to exactly what it is that you want to do. So it's a process. It could take years. I'm in the process of it now where I know my purpose now. I know that my purpose is to teach and help others. That's what I was put here for. I have a lot of other interests and hobbies such as music, and basketball. I feel like that's like a great hobby of mine, but I don't think it was my purpose. My purpose is definitely to help other people, to help them become self-sufficient. I think that's what I was one of the people that were put here to bring us back to that, because right now we in a position where we're going back to the future, because in the past, the point that we're on our way to now, where everybody was on spirituality and being self-sufficient, growing their own food and things like that, that's from the past. Africans were doing that years before we were even on this stuff. The Native Americans were doing this years before the colonization. So that's all we really headed to, really. And I think, to me personally, my personal opinion, I think it's about to get to the point where you're going to see a lot more 1099s versus W-2s. It's going to be the new thing. But that's just my opinion. But I hope this was able to help somebody, because we all are here for a purpose. There's nobody here on this earth that was put here just to be put here. There has to be a reason that you're here. So just consider it, think upon it over for a minute, and don't frustrate yourself with it. It took me years to figure out exactly what my purpose was. And I didn't figure it out until I realized what I didn't want to do. It was simple as that, because once I got that job at that shipyard that I got, and that was the most that a job ever paid me, $20 an hour, that was crazy money to me. So, and as time went on, I realized that money didn't matter. And I know that the people without money always say, the hell if it don't. But when you really get the money, and I completely understand what the people say now, like, and my money is minimal compared to most superstars who do say these things. But already I can see exactly what they mean. It means nothing. The money is nothing. Because, and also, let's just touch on this for a minute too. Material possessions are just that, they're materials. And if you can't live without these material possessions, then you might be living artificial. You might want to check yourself, because I'll put it this way. My cars, I like my cars. I'm emotionally attached to my cars and any other material possessions that I have. However, I don't care. Like, I could lose it all today, and it means nothing to me. You can take all the money away from me, because really, in reality, let's be serious, it's just a green piece of paper. And once you got that concept, you can understand why the rich get rich, because they understand that too. It's just a green piece of paper. You can't be afraid to lose these things, to take risk. That's why the mediocre people stay mediocre, because they're so content with what they have. You can't be afraid to lose these little material possessions, because they really mean nothing in reality. Spiritually, you can't take these things with you when you leave this realm right here that we in. So I'm not telling you to don't fight to keep it if you want it, but just know that when you lose it, who cares? Get back up and go get another one. I don't care. You can take whatever you want from me. Put me in foreclosure. Put me in bankruptcy. Whatever you got, give it to me. And guess what? I turn around and go get it again. It's nothing. It's really nothing. So, lock in. You can't sit here. Now, I'm not telling you to hate money, because if you put that into the universe, and that's what you're going to get. You hate money, you won't get no money. So you can have some love for some money, but what I'm saying is don't worship the money. Don't sell out to these material possessions. All right? So, again, I hope this video was able to help somebody. And just always look to improve yourself. Study. Do self-help at all times. If you know you struggle with your temper, then YouTube videos about how to manage my temper. If you know that you struggle with money, then look up videos on how to manage money. But always try to better yourself. Strive for greatness. People say you can't be perfect. I say perfection is striving for it. That's when you are perfect, when you're striving for it. And it can be accomplished as long as you're striving for it. To me, that's just my personal opinion. Always strive for perfection. Don't settle for less. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I really do hope I was able to touch somebody with this one. And again, thank you for commenting, liking, sharing. What else y'all be doing? Watching, of course. And subscribing. Thank you for subscribing. I look forward to seeing you guys' comments and feedback. Thanks.